Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And give this video a like up. Bold and the Beautiful has Steffy Forrester's power-happy persona not lost with Eric Forrester, who recently found himself a target of his granddaughter's tyrannical behaviors on the CBS soap. When he questioned Steffy about firing Hope Logan, Steffy dismissed his concerns and went on her merry way. But today, the Forrester patriarch sees Carter Walton read in his granddaughter, something no one else would do. Bold and the Beautiful had Carter Walton, Lawrence St. Victor, state his case about the failings surrounding Forrester Creations. This company's motto suggests it puts value on the FC family of employees. But the behavior seemed to demonstrate otherwise, and he intends to fix this. Steffy Forrester, Jacqueline Messinswood, won't acknowledge Carter as the new boss. Plus, her bullying continues this week, directed at anyone within the Logan family. Bold and the Beautiful spoilers show Steffy taking awful jabs at Hope Logan, Annika Noel, when she walks into the FC office. Despite Carter demanding that Steffy stopped, she won't. So, if Carter wants to stand his ground as the new leader of the pack, he likely has no other recourse than to fight fire with fire. In this case, he might need Steffy escorted from the building when she becomes out of control. This would be the same shameful walk the Forrester daughter ordered for Hope. If Steffy Forrester is removed from the SC campus, that piece of revenge belongs to Hope Logan. But there may be a Forrester in the crowd to get some satisfaction from this too. Bold and the Beautiful had Eric Forrester, John McCook, fighting the fight with Steffy Forrester and Ridge Forrester, Thorsten Kaye, last week. The initial shock of this takeover made Eric furious, but then he took in Carter's speech on Friday and Monday's episodes. Carter said the magic words that might have Eric rethinking his stand on this coup. In his takeover speech, the new head honcho mentioned how he witnessed the disrespect that runs rampant at Forrester Creations. So he likely caught Eric's ear when he pointed out the treatment endured by Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang. Brooke has a special place in Eric Forrester's heart, and he considers her and her daughter a big part of his family. Eric told Steffy Forrester that he was upset when he learned she fired Hope. He also told his granddaughter that he thinks of Hope as part of his family, but she dismissed her grandfather as if he were no longer a viable part of SC. Eric likely didn't forget how his granddaughter ignored his concerns. But now he hears the disrespect she has shown to Brooke. Not only does he consider Brooke part of his family, but she is also a woman who helped take his company into the history books of fashion. Now he learns Brooke gets shuffled all over the building with no office, despite recently taking on an executive position. But he also discovers that her new position is nothing more than a title, as she has no voice in how the company runs. Bold and the Beautiful has Carter attempting to clean up Forrester Creations. He wants to sweep away the culture of ruling by personal feelings. As he goes along with his spiel to Eric, Ridge, and Steffy, it looks like Eric might get what he is saying. After all, it wasn't that long ago when Steffy Forrester dismissed Eric Forrester when he voiced his concerns. She ignored him, and instead of appeasing her grandfather, she carried on with her selfish personal agenda. So, while Eric Forrester fumes over what he sees as a betrayal today, he likely ponders how this happened and why. He may end up seeing Carter as someone working on behalf of the company instead of his initial thoughts of this guy being a traitor. Bold and the Beautiful may even go as far as to have Eric Forrester feel a twinge of retaliation if Carter Walton has Steffy Forrester escorted out of the building. Hints pop up in this week's preview that suggests this possibility. It is the same humiliating move that the Forrester daughter bestowed on Hope. Eric's hands were tied at the time because his granddaughter and son were in charge of the company. So when Steffy Forrester fired the Logan daughter, all he could do was voice his protest. So Eric may recognize he has no recourse, but it also may hit the Forrester patriarch that Carter stepped in to do what needs to be done. This way, Eric wouldn't need to cross any lines, like jump ship against his son and Steffy. He could quietly sit back and secretly support this takeover. He may also watch his son and granddaughter as they are taught a harsh lesson. This lesson may eventually let them lead the company again, but not with any personal agenda they may harbor. The Forrester mansion echoed with silence, not the peaceful kind, but the kind that pulses with tension, like the calm just before a California earthquake. Eric Forrester stood by the grand piano, fingers brushing across the ivory keys as though coaxing out forgotten melodies. His eyes, usually warm with wisdom, now shimmered with something else, something colder. Triumph, perhaps, or maybe the bittersweet taste of long overdue revenge. He had just watched Steffi walk out of the Forrester Creations boardroom for what might be the last time. She hadn't seen it coming, not from him. And that, Eric mused, was the most poetic part of it all. It had all begun weeks earlier when whispers of betrayal started circulating within the walls of Forrester Creations. Not from enemies, but from within. Eric had been sick, critically so, but he'd made a miraculous recovery, one that he kept quieter than his funeral arrangements. It was in that veil of secrecy that Eric learned something startling. Steffi had been quietly working to edge him out. Under the guise of protecting the brand and preparing for the future, she and Ridge had drafted plans that shifted power away from the patriarch. The company's structure had changed overnight, and when Eric had finally stepped back into his office, looking stronger than he had in years, he found his portrait missing and Steffi's hung proudly in its place. He smiled in meetings. He offered praise. He even toasted to the next generation. But behind the scenes, he was pulling strings only a Forrester could reach. Strings attached to shareholders, silent board members, and old alliances forged in fabric and fire. The boardroom was filled with the usual elegance, mahogany table, designer suits, and ambition so thick it fogged the windows. Steffi sat at the head, poised and confident. She didn't see it coming. Effective immediately, he said, voice strong and steady. Steffi Forrester Finnegan will no longer serve as CEO of Forrester Creations. Ridge opened his mouth to speak but hesitated when Eric looked at him, not with anger, but disappointment deep enough to freeze the air. Thor didn't look up. Neither did Donna, who sat quietly beside Eric, her lips pressed into a line that hinted at secrets long kept. Eric tilted his head. How could you, Steffi? You were so focused on your vision for the future, you forgot whose legacy you were playing with. My name built this company. Your name, your actions, nearly buried it. Dying? He finished for her. I was, but I didn't. And now I see everything with new eyes, including your ambitions. Her composure cracked then, just slightly. She reached for her bag, and with one last icy glance, she turned and walked out. The click of her heels down the marble corridor was the only sound that followed. It wasn't joy, it wasn't victory. It was something older, something more primal. Maybe it was justice, or maybe revenge. He hadn't wanted to hurt her, not really, but watching his legacy twist into something unrecognizable under Steffi's command, it had changed him. She had tried to write him off like an old chapter in the Forrester story. Donna walked to the window, drawing back the curtain just enough to reveal the Forrester estate bathed in golden afternoon light. Eric shrugged. She's a Forrester. They always come back. The real question is, what version of her will return? Meanwhile, in a Malibu beach house, Steffi stood facing the ocean, her phone buzzing nonstop. Anger simmered beneath her skin, not just at Eric, but at Ridge too. Had he really not defended her? Not once. The waves crashed violently, as if echoing the war inside her. She had always been the firebrand, the fighter, the one who never backed down. This wasn't the end of her story. It was just the start of a darker, sharper chapter. He reached into the drawer and pulled out a sketch pad. not to draw, just to feel it in his hands. The past, the present, the cost.